IgG-mediated fibroinflammatory condition characterized by tendency to form tumefactive lesions or organ dysfunction. IgG4 disease is capable of affecting one or multiple organs. Also, it can manifest in nearly every organ system. The hallmark of this disease is dense lymphoplasmacytic infiltration with the predominance of IgG4 positive plasma cell in affected tissue. Serum IgG4 level are raised that is more than 135 mg per deciliter. Epidemiology. In Japan, there is estimated prevalence of 100 cases per 1 million. It manifests most commonly in 50 to 70 years of age group. Men being affected more than women with a ratio of 2.8:1. In children, eyes are commonly involved and manifest as orbital mass and dacroadenitis. In female, head and neck disease are more common. There are 4 clinical phenotypes of this disease. Group 1 is pancreatico-hepatobiliary disease. Group 2 is retroperitoneal fibrosis and aortitis. 3 is head and neck limited disease. 4 is classic Mikulicz syndrome, that is involvement of lacrimal parotid at submandibular base. Autoimmune pancreatitis. This is the prototypical form of IgG4 related disease. There are 2 types of autoimmune pancreatitis, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is associated with IgG4 related disease, whereas in type 2 there is granulomatous pancreatitis with neutrophilic infiltration. Pancreatitis has been estimated to account for 2% of the chronic pancreatitis patient, and it presents as pancreatic mass or painless obstructive jaundice. So the differential diagnosis is adenocarcinoma. There is acute glucose tolerance in 20 to 50% of the patient, or frank type 2 diabetes mellitus, or more frequently exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. There is involvement of endocrine and exocrine cells of pancreas lead to these symptoms. Associated features can be sclerosing cholangitis, lymphadenopathy, salivary lacrimal gland involvement. Radiological features include diffuse enlargement of pancreas. On CT abdomen, the shape of the pancreas becomes sausage with a halo of edema. IgG4 related sclerosing cholangitis. Biliary tract and pancreatic disease raise the suspicion of IgG4 related disease. It is the most common extrapancreatic manifestation of type 1 autoimmune pancreatitis, and it is present in more than 70% of the patients. The absence of pancreatitis is a rarity. It mimics primary sclerosing cholangitis and cholangiocarcinoma. IgG4 related hepatopathy manifests as autoimmune hepatitis and hepatic inflammatory pseudotumor. Retroperitoneal fibrosis and related disorders. This is the most common subset of IgG4 related disease. Chronic inflammatory and fibrotic changes. Patient usually present with backache, lower abdominal pain, lower extremity edema, and regional tissue involvement led to hydronephrosis, sclerosing mesenteritis, and thoracic aortitis. Proptosis and exotracheia and orbital pseudotumor. These are associated with IgG4 related disease. These symptoms are also present in Jordan syndrome. So to differentiate, in IgG4 disease, 87% of the cases, ANA is 90%, and anti-Rho and anti-La antibody present in 100% of the cases. Lymphadenopathy. This is commonly present with autoimmune pancreatitis and is present in 80% of the cases. Most common lymph nodes involvement are mediastinal, hilar, intra-abdominal, and axillary. There are 5 histopathological patterns of lymph node involvement. Type 1 is multicentric Castleman disease-like. Type 2 is follicular hyperplasia. Type 3 is interfollicular expansion. 4 is progressive transformation of germinal center-like, and 5 is nodal inflammatory pseudotumor. Involvement of lung. There are 4 patterns of lung involvement. The one is involvement of tracts along the bronchi and blood vessels. The second one is bronchovascular involvement with thickening of bronchovascular bundles and intralobular septa. The third one is alveolar interstitial involvement, nodule formation, and ground glass capacities. It mimics sarcoidosis. There is bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy, lung nodules on the chest, but on bronchoalveolar lavage, higher level of IgG4 present in this disease. Other system involvement include renal involvement, that is tubular interstitial nephritis, membranous glomerulonephritis, asymptomatic tumoral lesions, hypocomplementemia. So if the C3-C4 levels are low, so differentials are SLE and mixed diaglomeruloma. CNS involvement led to anterior pituitary hormone deficiency, central diabetes insipidus. Imaging includes thickened pituitary stalk or mass formation on the stalk, swelling of pituitary gland or mass formation. Skin involvement led to cutaneous pseudolymphoma. So how to proceed for IgG4 related disease? There are 4 patterns for this. One is histopathological, second is clinical, third is serological, and fourth one is radiological patterns. Histopathology, regardless of organ or tissue involved, any organ can involve in IgG4 related disease, but histopathology findings are almost similar in every organ. There is Histopathological and immunohistochemical staining features of IgG4 related disease are strikingly similar in different tissues. There is dense lymphoplasmacytic infiltrate, IgG4 positive plasma cells. There is pattern of fibrosis. There is a woven mat pattern known as storiform or cartwheel appearance of arranged fibroblasts and inflammatory cells. The target blood vessels led to obliterative phlebitis. There is mild to moderate tissue eosinophilia. Serum IgG4 level more than 135 and it is present in 2/3 of the patient. But it is not always 100% sure. Sensitivity is 90%, specificity is 60% and negative predictive value is 96%. There are other causes of elevated IgG4 which is allergic disorders, parasitic infection, pernicious anemia, primary sclerosing cholangitis, ankle vasculitis, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, Sjogren syndrome, Castleman disease, thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura and membranous glomerulonephritis. Increased IgG4 level are not sufficient to establish diagnosis of IgG4 related disease. So another one is blood plasma blast concentration. High number of circulating plasma blast is more sensitive than serum IgG4 concentration. Elevated plasma blast count is more than 2698 per ml. The normal value is 12653 per ml. Identified through flow cytometry of peripheral blood, testing assays are not widely available. Other lab investigations include polyclonal serum C globulin, elevated IgE level, hypocomplementemia and eosinophilia. This is the facial view and computed tomography image of a patient with IgG4 related disease. In this there is bilateral enlargement of lacrimal gland and enlargement of submandibular gland. Diagnostic criteria include organ involvement. Second one is serum IgG4 level more than 135 mg per deciliter. Third one is on histopath, that is IgG4 level more than 40% and IgG4 cell per high power field is more than 10. IgG4 are the inclusion domains. Based on domains that are IgG4 level, histopathology and immunostaining, lacrimal and medius library gland enlargement, chest and thoracic aorta involvement, pancreas and biliary, kidney and retroperitoneum. Differential diagnosis. The disease tend to cause mass-forming lesions that can mimic cancer, infection and rheumatologic conditions. Malignant tumors, granulomatous vasculitis, sarcoidosis, Sjogren, thyroid disease, pancreatic disease and other causes of retroperitoneal fibrosis. Treatment of IgG4 related disease. In asymptomatic cases, there is conservative follow-up and those presenting with focal pancreatic enlargement, mild submandibular gland enlargement, lymphadenopathy need no active treatment, only symptomatic treatment is required. Urgent treatment is required in some cases. These are aortitis, retroperitoneal fibrosis, sclerosing cholangitis, tubulointerstitial nephritis, pachymeningitis and pericarditis. Treatment includes steroids. So initial dose is 0.6 mg per kg per day for 2 to 3 months and maintenance dose is 2.5 to 5 mg per day for 6 to 12 months. If there is relapse of IgG4 related disease which is very common and is defined as the reappearance of symptoms with the reappearance of imaging abnormalities and of elevation of serum IgG4 levels. Drugs in relapse and steroid intolerance. The first one is rituximab, the drug of choice in induction phase in case of relapse. Dose is 1 gram IV. 2 treatments are required and that will be 15 days apart. Azathioprine and mycophenolate can be used as steroid-sparing agents in the maintenance phase. Investigational new drugs are abatacept and eloxatamab. These are biologicals. So to summarize, IgG4 related disease is a chronic inflammatory condition that is characterized by tissue infiltration with IgG4 secreting plasma cells that results in an organomegaly, fibrosis and subacute organ dysfunction. The measurement of plasma blast concentration correlates better than IgG4 level with disease activity and is a promising tool to be used in future. A good initial response to steroid is a characteristic behavior of the disease. Rituximab holds a good promise in case of relapse. Another important autoimmune topic is IBAN, which is a very rare and recently advanced topic. IBAN is interstitial pneumonia with autoimmune features. Idiopathic interstitial pneumonias. These are the subset of diffuse interstitial, whether it is inflammatory or fibrotic lung disease of unknown etiology that is characterized by expansion of interstitial compartment with an infiltrate of inflammatory cell. ILD can be idiopathic or have an identifiable etiology. The diagnosis of IIT requires the exclusion of known source of interstitial pneumonia such as environmental exposures, medication toxicity or CTD or other causes. Connective tissue disease associated with pulmonary manifestations are Interstitial lung disease. These are very common in systemic sclerosis, polymyositis and dermatomyositis. Airway involvement is common in rheumatoid arthritis and primary job runs. Pleural involvement is commonly seen in SLE. Vascular involvement is common in systemic sclerosis. Diffuse alveolar hemorrhage is seen in SLE. The causes of interstitial lung disease, the first one is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, idiopathic non-specific interstitial pneumonia, respiratory bronchitis, ILD, dystomatic interstitial pneumonias, acute interstitial pneumonias, unclassifiable. Connective tissue disease, systemic sclerosis, myositis, rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's, mixed connective tissue disease and SLE. Exposure related include environmental, occupational, drug toxicity, sarcoidosis, and other include the Langerhans cell histiocytosis and eosinophilic pneumonia. So IPF is somewhere in between the idiopathic interstitial pneumonia and CTD-ILD. The continuum on which IPF sits between the idiopathic interstitial pneumonia and defined CTD-related ILDs. This term describes individuals with both ILD and combination of other clinical, serological or pulmonary morphological features which stem from an underlying systemic autoimmune condition. But they have subtle features suggesting of an autoimmune etiology and yet do not meet current rheumatological criteria for a characterized CTD. So why is it so challenging to identify underlying CTD in patients presenting with what is initially considered to be an IIP? Boundaries between IIP and CTD-ILD are not clearly defined. It is not uncommon for the interstitial pneumonia to be the first presentation and possibly the sole manifestation of otherwise occult CTD. No universally accepted approach to the evaluation of such patients. Many patients diagnosed with IIP have certain open, subtle clinical features that suggest an underlying autoimmune process yet do not meet any established diagnostic criteria for any characterizable CTD. Some may have these clinical features in absence of serological abnormality, while in others, highly specific serum autoantibody may be present without typical systemic or external findings. Individuals having autoimmune or rheumatological symptoms. For the probability of IPF progression to CTD, it increases. Female patients have 14-fold higher progression to CTD, that is common in non-smokers, ILD with NSIP pattern. IPF score, that is the total number of IPF criteria, which we will discuss in coming slides, met amongst the three domains. Higher IPF score is associated with progression of a defined CTD. There are some proposed terms for IPF. One is undifferentiated CTD associated ILD, lung dominant CTD, and its autoimmune features ILD. The European Respiratory Society and American Thoracic Society Task Force on Undifferentiated Form of Connective Tissue Disease Associated ILD was formed to create consensus regarding the nomenclature and classification criteria for patients with ILD and feature of autoimmunity. So the aim was to derive a uniform name and a set of classification criteria for patients with ILD and an autoimmune flavor aiming to develop a sound platform for which to launch future investigations. The classification criteria for interstitial pneumonia with autoimmune feature. The first is presence of interstitial pneumonia that can be confirmed by HRCT or surgical lung biopsy. The second is exclusion of alternative etiologies and doesn't meet criteria of a defined connective tissue disease. At least one feature from at least two of these domains should be present. Domains are clinical, serological and morphological. Clinical domain include distal digital fissure, that is mechanic hand. Second one is distal digital tip ulceration, inflammatory arthritis or polyarticular morning joint stiffness that persists more than or equal to 60 minutes, Palmar telangiectasia, Raynaud's phenomena, unexplained digital edema, unexplained fixed rash on the digital extensor surfaces, that is Gottron sign. This is mechanic hands, there is distal digital fissure and cracking of skin. This is Palmar telangiectasia. This is Gottron sign, that is characterized by fixed erythematous rash over the metacarpal phalangeal joint with periungular erythema. Distal digital tip ulcerations, and this is Raynaud's phenomenon. Another domain is serological domain, where the ANA titer is more than or equal to 1:320, diffuse pattern, homogeneous pattern, or ANA nucleolar pattern, any titer, or centromere pattern with any titer. Other is rheumatoid factor more than equal to 2 times the upper limit of normal, anti-CCP antibody, anti-dsDNA, anti-Rho, anti-La, anti-ribonucleoprotein, anti-Smith antibody, anti-topoisomerase, anti-tRNA synthetase, anti-PMSCL, anti-MDM5. Morphological domain include suggestive radiology pattern by HRCT, there is NSIP, organizing pneumonia, non-specific interstitial pneumonia with organizing pneumonia overlap, or lymphoid interstitial pneumonia. Histopathology patterns were featured by surgical lung biopsy include NSIP, OP, NSIP with organizing pneumonia overlap or lymphoid interstitial pneumonia. Interstitial lymphoid aggregates with germinal center, diffuse lymphoplasmacytic infiltration with or without lymphoid infiltration. There is multi-compartment involvement. In addition to interstitial pneumonia, CTD-ILD often demonstrate involvement of other pulmonary structures, unexplained pleural effusion or thickening, unexplained pericardial effusion or thickening, unexplained intrinsic airway disease, unexplained pulmonary vasculopathy. So what's the treatment of IPF? Here reside a wide gap of knowledge regarding the efficacy of immunosuppressive treatment relating to IPF. Evidence supporting the choice of treatment strategy is still scarce. Corticosteroid or immunosuppressive therapy are frequently given as first-line therapy. Rituximab and calcineurin inhibitor like tacrolimus may play a role in respiratory disease. So to conclude, individuals with interstitial pneumonia and certain clinical, serological or morphological features raise the suspicion for the presence of underlying systemic autoimmune disease and should be labeled as having interstitial pneumonia with autoimmune features. The classification of IPF combines specific features from three primary domains, that is clinical, serological and intrapathogenic morphological features. Adopting IPF classification means leaving behind the previous terminologies and allow for the future study of a more uniform format. Thank you.
G4 infiltration diseases is still so underrepresented, and a lot of studies are going on around the world to improve the diagnostic modality, because treatment is still steroid. The challenge is to identify the condition, rather the infiltration of IgG4 cells as the dominant cause of the condition. That is the biggest challenge right now, and a lot of studies are going on around the world to streamline and to make it more streamlined, the diagnostic modalities to be made more streamlined. And in fact, the role of IgG4 infiltration in interstitial lung disease is also being considered in larger number of cases as being the underlying pathology for the pulmonary inflammation. So again, congratulations, Rajan.
So the key point is, if there is organ enlargement, any organ dysfunction, and other differentials are ruled out, we should suspect about IgG4 related. There is no specific Indian data regarding IgG4 related disease. Data collected is only in Japan only, that is already present in these slides, but no Indian data is available.
Have you seen any cases during your
2 to 3 cases during my PG. Otherwise, during routine clinical examination, I didn't get any patient of IgG4.
To come upon the stage and honor our speaker and the chairperson. Chairpersons, please come on the stage. The first speaker for our day, Mr. Anju, congratulations for a very nice session.
This was a difficult topic, and I think
Very difficult topic. Welcome and thank you for chairing the session.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rama Avtar. डॉक्टर राजीव तंवर, आज आप ये सब हमारे घर पे ही है, डॉक्टर राजीव एंड डॉक्टर ज्ञानेंद्र।